Hi there. I want you to close your eyes for a minute and imagine with me. I want you to imagine with me my life 6 months ago. Imagine you're hungover. But my friend, this isn't any hangover. No, no, no. This is a hangover that's lasted for days, weeks, months on end. Your eyes, they're dry, they hurt, they're so bloodshot. Your face, it's so puffy. Your body, it's aching and it's shaking like it forgot how to even be human. And your first thought, that very first thought that you have is, I need more alcohol. And at the same time, you're thinking, why do you keep doing this? Why can't you stop? Make it stop. Why aren't you strong enough? Why don't you have enough in you to just stop it? You can open them now. That was me. That was my life. Towards the end of my alcohol abuse, I really relied on those 99-cent shooters. You know, the ones that come in the bright colors and the fun flavors that you see at the gas station. In fact, I don't think I can even remember the last time I didn't see a gas station counter littered with them. I would take those shooters before I went to bed at night. They would knock me out cold so that I didn't have to sit there and stare at the ceiling, reliving my demons and all my mistakes, all the shame, all the grief. And then on the flip side of that, I would have to take them when I woke up because my body needed them. And sometimes, and I hate this, I would have to take those shooters to even get me through the day. There were mornings I couldn't stop vomiting. Even though I had nothing left in my system, I would just keep going. You know, the vomiting where your snot it's just running down your face because that's what the body does when you're in that state. Where you're shaking so hard because your body's just, it's in crisis mode. And too often, too many mornings were like this. I would wake up in that state knowing I wasn't going to make it unless I had a fix. So I would open my DoorDash app. At like 7 o'clock in the morning. And there was a local convenience store or liquor store that would deliver. So I would place that order around 7:05. I'd spend $12 on the drinks and $35 for delivery and tip. And then they would be at my doorstep and I would go all over again because I was in despair. That had become my life, the hopelessness, the addiction. That was despair. But my friend, despair doesn't always look like alcohol. Despair, it can show up in everyday life too. It's the parenting fails that make you question even if you're cut out for it. Or the relationship arguments that have you staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. Or the endless emails and list of 44 to-do things that you can't even prioritize because it's so much and you're overloaded. That's the kind of despair that everyone can relate to. And if you sit in it long enough, it digs holes. And then those holes become craters. And then the craters become sinkholes. And before you know it, it's swallowing you. Despair, it can swallow you whole. And hi, I'm your host, Shanda. And yes, my name does rhyme with panda. I'm a recovering, high-functioning alcoholic and marketing executive. And I hit rock bottom, both literally and figuratively. I'm also a young empty nester who's recently divorced. And I spent the last couple years trying to rebuild my life, and specifically the last few months. I'm rebuilding my life, my faith, and my purpose. And part of this purpose is the Right Side Up movement. I started it because I know what it feels to feel upside down, just completely turned over. And that feeling of drowning in despair and the shame and the grief and the chaos. And I'm here now to help you reclaim your life and redefine your purpose and build that resilience by turning all the setbacks into stepping stones. And just so you know, we won't always talk about alcohol, but it is a major player in my story, and it's one of the reasons I understand despair so deeply. Today, I'm 106 days sober, and I can say it with absolute certainty that hope saved me. In full disclosure, when we launched this podcast, I had a 6-part series on abandonment all set up and ready to go. I had the emotional tissues, the scripts, the metaphorical confetti, the works. And then life, it threw me a curveball, and I had to make a hard left turn, and I took that left turn straight into hope. You see, life doesn't always move in straight lines. No, it zigs and it zags. And it flips you upside down while you're still trying to figure out the plan. And that's okay. That's what makes life worth living. So we're not on abandonment, and I'm good with that. We're diving straight into hope, and I love it. And all that is exactly why this podcast exists in the first place. It's to show you that no matter how messy the turn, we can find a spark, and we can stack it, and we can flip things right side up. So I want to talk about hope versus despair. Despair whispers, you'll never change. You're never enough. You can't do it. Well, hope, it says you can, or what if, or you've got this. You see, alcohol, it stole my hope. But despair also shows up in our everyday normal lives. It's the parenting failures, the relationship struggles, work pressures, and the quiet feeling that in today's world, you're just never going to get ahead. It's hard. Sometimes we can even drown in it in the everyday life. And despair, it doesn't always kill you outright. No, it creeps in. Sometimes it convinces you that living in the present, in the true moment, that it doesn't even matter. And that is where the real danger lies. It's not in the bottle. It's not in the failure that's in your head. It's when you stop believing tomorrow could be different. And hope is the rebellion against that. Hope is when you look despair in the eye and you say, you don't own me. Not today. I'm winning. I'm beating you. That is hope. Hope is not something that you can manufacture either. Hope is something that has already been planted inside of you. Every spark, a sunrise, a butterfly, a song lyric, a friend's laugh is God saying, I'm still here. I'm not done with you yet. And there are so many tiny sparks of hope. My first spark on my current journey came waking up sober one day. And that tiny little spark was pretty insignificant at the moment. I thought waking up sober, I was going to have this grand transformation and this grand change of, oh my gosh, I finally woke up sober. No, that wasn't it. I didn't get a trophy. I didn't get a medal. I just woke up on earth. And for me, that was a great, great blessing. And I sat with my feelings on that day. And hope started surfacing and started appearing. I see hope all over the place now. For the longest time, I miss sunsets, and it's something that I love. And now I get sober sunsets. I love watching God's brushstrokes across the sky and fully appreciating every color, all the purples and the pinks and the yellows and the golds and the oranges and how they weave together. It is magnificent. It's kind of like God preaches to me in each of those sunset moments. And we have nature we can look at, the earth. The Lord created the earth for us to wonder and us to marvel at it. The sounds of the birds, the flutter of the butterflies, the flowers that unexpectedly bloom between cracks. I don't even know how that happens. It's kind of like God has scattered his love notes all across the earth for us to look at and to remember that hope exists. There's so much hope that I see in music, that I hear in the lyrics, in the words that I can't seem to come up with. Other people are so gifted and they speak to my soul in ways nothing else can. And then, there's so much hope found in human connection, in our relationships. You see, when I was in the middle of that despair, I alienated myself. I isolated, cut myself off from people that I love, because I was in despair and I had no hope. And what I've learned now that I'm working my hope muscle is that there is so much healing and so much beauty in the power of connection in people. I firmly believe that God places people on our path for purpose. And when you find them, hold on to them and grow in that relationship with them. They can truly bring out hope and joy. Not to mention laughter and all the memories that you can create, all the fun pictures you can take. And then there's we have funny moments of hope, right? So the other morning, and I laugh at this now because it's something that wouldn't have existed in my life 6 months ago, or I wouldn't have seen it as a hopeful memory. But the other morning, I'm texting on my phone and I have it in my left hand and I'm going away, and it's a busy morning, but a great morning. And then it's time to brush my teeth. So with my right hand, and I'm still texting, I get out my toothbrush, do all that, and I start brushing my teeth. And then I realize, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. So I walk over to the toilet and I notice the lid on the toilet seat is down because I always leave it down. And I have to pause for a second because I realize I don't have enough hands, right? And in that moment, I go, Shanda, what kind of circus show are you running this morning? You don't even have enough hands to do this. And I realized a couple things. One, that multitasking, it's got to be my love language. But two, that, oh my goodness, I was so busy and so focused on all these things that I forgot I couldn't do it all at the same time, and that I needed to pause, that I could pause, and that I could laugh at myself in that moment. And that created just this funny hope for me that I'm laughing about today. You see, seeking hope is really, it's kind of like going to the gym. At first, it's going to feel awkward, foreign, and uncomfortable. You know, you're going to work out muscles that you haven't in a while, and you're probably going to be a little sore. And you don't know how to flex those muscles quite so much, so it's going to ache a little bit, and you wonder if it's even worth it. But, it's so worth it. The more you practice your hope muscle, the more you notice the sparks. And then you can laugh at the ridiculous moments, kind of like my teeth brushing, phone texting, have to use the restroom moment. You can pause for the sunsets. You can really listen intently and deeply into that music, and you can connect with people in a way that you weren't able to connect with before, because your hope muscle, it becomes stronger over time as you're working it, as you're going along. Stackable sparks of hope build bigger sparks, and bigger sparks build hope that actually sticks. It's kind of like when you're sitting in a dark room. Imagine this, it's pitch black, but you got some matches, and you light that first match, and all of a sudden your hand, you can see it in front of your face. And then you light the second, the third, the fourth, and pretty soon the room, it's glowing and it's luminous, and you can feel the warmth and that glow, it hugs you. Well, hope's a little like that. And hope can lift you out of despair even when life feels impossible. And just like any muscle, you have to use it intentionally. You can't just wish it into existence. No, you have to flex it day by day, moment by moment. You have to flex the hope muscle and build those stackable sparks. And here's the beautiful part. Hope is also a gift. You've got to allow yourself to receive hope. You have to give yourself permission to believe that life can be different, that tomorrow can be better, that today, the present moment, that it's good. That permission is where faith enters, because hope and faith are linked. They're intertwined. Before I started recording the podcast this morning, I spent some time with the Lord, and He put a verse on my heart. This is Luke 12, it's verse 22, and I'm going to read out of the New Living Translation. It says, "Then, turning to His disciples, Jesus said, 'That is why I tell you not to worry about your life, whether you have enough food to eat or enough clothes to wear.'" Wow. He's telling us not to worry. It's kind of like God in that moment was sitting across from me going, "Shanda, I've got you. We've got this together." And hope doesn't require perfect circumstances. It requires trust. Trust that even when despair is loud and despair is neck and neck at the finish line, God is still in work. Every tiny spark, every laugh, every connection is a reminder that hope is alive and that God's hand, His mighty hand, is in every single detail. If you're like me, you can get really energized quickly about some things that you've heard, some positive, motivational, inspirational words. But then I'm like, well, how do I actually do this? Well, you can start building your hope muscle today. So we're going to go to the hope gym. First, I want you to name your despair. It's kind of like naming that body part that you want to work out. Name your despair. I want you to examine your life. Where are just little pieces of despair showing up? It can be little, it can be big, but remember, those small little cracks turn into small holes. And then the holes, if we don't address them, can turn into bigger holes, craters, and then sinkholes. I want you to bring it to the light. Be radically honest about where despair might be hiding in your life, because we don't want to hide it anymore. We want to challenge it head on. Then I want you to spot the tiny sparks. Give yourself the gift of hope. When you're out in the world, even the smallest little thing counts. It could be a beautiful flower. Maybe it's a bird. It's the sunset, your sourdough, dog, cat, the laugh of your kid. Whatever it is, I want you to write it down. And then I want you to savor it, especially when you feel that moment of despair creeping in. Once we acknowledge those tiny sparks, we can really start counting them, kind of like counting the reps in a gym. Next, I want you to stack those sparks daily and build momentum. As we build momentum and we really work on flexing that muscle's going to grow. It's going to gain strength. Then pretty soon, the Hope Gym is just another practice in your daily life. Lastly, I want you to release one thing that you're worried about, one thing that you're concerned about, one thing that you keep carrying around that just weighs you down. Let go of it today. Surrender it. You can't control the outcome. Know that you are chosen, that you are made beautifully, and that everything is perfect in its own time. So here's the challenge for this week. I want you to focus on finding three sparks, just 3 sparks of hope each day. Then by the end of the week, you're going to have 21. You're going to have 21 things that you can sit there and reflect about and go, wow, those were really cool, beautiful moments in my week. And my friend, that is hope that is alive, and that is hope that is starting to flex inside of you and waiting for you to use it. And I cannot wait to hear and learn and see your hope flex. Well, I appreciate you hanging in there with me today. In episode 2, we're going to dive deeper into hope and mental health. I recently have been on a new mental health journey, and it's been long. If you live in Southwest Missouri or probably anywhere, you know the system around access to mental hope is somewhat hard to navigate. And I was only able to navigate it successfully because of my support system that I have. And most recently, I went to my first psychiatry appointment that took me 4 months to get into. Don't give up, my friends. Don't give up. In that psychiatry appointment, I learned about a bipolar 2 diagnosis. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my journey, navigating the system, and how I found stability and joy in learning how my brain works. Thank you for leaning into the mess with me today, into the chaos. And remember, the mess, it doesn't disqualify you. No, the mess, it prepares you. And together we're turning upside down lives right side up. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.